Auxiliary Fire. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today's Tuesday, December 6, 2022, and we are here for a scheduled town board meeting. And as always, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Bayrod, can you please take the lead?
Frank would love to.
Frank.
I pledge allegiance
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Frank. And do we have anyone from the faith community with us?
I don't see her right off the top of my head.
But if you
yes,
don't, we have Kathy Berenzi who
Oh,
can do it.
good. Reverend Janet Wright from the Interfaith Ministry
She's
is
not
supposed
here?
to be with her, but here with us, but I don't
So
see.
Kathleen, would you have the honor of,
She's
Fran
not
Pratt?
online, is she, Chet, by any chance, for a Zoom? I don't know, I just want to check before we...
Janet, yeah.
okay, thank you. Yes, and thank you for agreeing. And by the way, it's very appropriate today for you to do this, right?
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good
We're
afternoon.
here today to give thanks to our community, to give thanks to our town board. We give thanks to our organizations that keep our community safe. The fire department, the police department, our ambulance services, our town workers. Lord, keep us all together this Christmas season, this holiday season, the season of Hanukkah. Make us all safe. Take care of our leaders. Take care of our residents. Take care of us, the United States of America. May we all live in harmony, peace, and in goodwill. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Kathy. First, before we start with our meeting today, we're going to hit the pause button, and we're going to take a moment to invite Chaplain Kathy Berenzi and anyone else with her to rightfully acknowledge a vital community group this month. You have the president? Great. Who will be celebrating their 90th year in existence serving the Riverhead community. The Ladies Auxiliary Riverhead Fire Department was established in 1932 as a volunteer organization whose mission, and remains today, is to support the firefighter members of the Riverhead Fire Department. Since their first organizational meeting, which was held on January 25th, 1932, the Ladies Auxiliary has participated in an unsurmountable amount of community events and projects throughout the entire town of Riverhead. To the countless volunteers who comprise the Ladies Auxiliary and for their tireless dedication to serving the Riverhead Fire Department and the greater Riverhead community, we thank you for your 9 decades of service to our town. Volunteers like you help comprise the very fabric of what it means to be embedded in a small town like Riverhead. I know many of you have been active volunteers for many, many years, and we thank you for all your steadfastness and your stewardship. Ken Rothwell, as a volunteer fighter, yourself, would you mind making the presentation?
Would be honored to do that. Thank you very much. Should we invite everybody up as a group?
Yes,
perhaps?
we can go down there,
All go down?
and then you can read it, and then we'll take pictures. How's that?
Sure, we down there?
Yep.
You got it. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Proclamation certificate should say reads Riverhead Fire District Ladies Auxiliary celebrating 90 years from 1932 to 2022. I, Yvette Aguirre, Supervisor of the Town of Riverhead, together with the entire town board, proudly recognizes the volunteers of the Ladies Auxiliary as they continue to aid and assist the Riverhead Fire Department with moral support when called upon. For the past 90 years, with the first meeting being held January 25th, 1932, the Ladies Auxiliary has taken countless projects and hosted many events, all open to the public, which have raised funds and awareness for the Riverhead Fire Department. The Ladies Auxiliary dedication and commitment to the public service is commendable, and I urge the town board and all residents of the town of Riverhead to join in sustaining public awareness of this community establishment. I greatly thank all of you for all your many years of service.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Supervisor, before everybody expands, you have another one you're gonna present as well.
Okay.
Same
Yeah.
organization, not a different.
Okay.
Our Assemblywoman Jody Giglio was not here today, was not able to attend the ceremony, even though she expressed her desire to be here. She's in Albany, and as you know, she is a very active person. So unfortunately, she can't be here, but I am honored to present you with a certificate from her office from Assemblywoman Jody Giglio. And be safe and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Copies of that if you need it for later. A and B.
Thank you. Okay. So moving on to announcements. This past weekend marked the beginning of two very new special traditions in Riverhead in downtown. Despite the rain on Saturday, racers came out for the inaugural Rudolph's Run, River Run, RRR, as they're now referring to it, complete with a 4 and a 1 mile race course crossing the finish line to the new town square. And on Sunday, the enthusiasm surrounding the inaugural holiday tree lighting in the town square was a great event. Everyone engaged, no matter what age you are, everybody was smiling. And then the Suffolk Theater had an event also, where people were toggling between both. It turned out to be great. And community events like these are what makes living in a small town like Riverhead, it's what it's all about. Festivities continue next Saturday at 3 p.m. beginning at Osborne Avenue and traveling east on Main Street with the Riverhead Lions Club's 70th annual parade, followed by the Riverhead Bid's 22nd annual bonfire and pictures with Santa, and we've been adding Mrs. Claus in the last couple of years. This is always a wonderful event, no matter how old you are. Just dress warm, and we hope to see you there. And I just have one last announcement. The Riverhead Town Board is looking for an independent committee to work with the town, an auditing committee to audit records. We want to thank Jack for his many years of service as the town of the chair of the Riverhead Audit Committee. Unfortunately, he can no longer serve in that spot. That was a voluntary. We're going to miss him, and we are looking for any members who want to volunteer, including someone to be chair. We'll be putting it out on Indeed. Again, this is a voluntary position. Hopefully people have finance experience. You don't necessarily have to have finance experience, but some people should, including the chair. So we look forward to hopefully getting applications. You can file them with the clerk's office or my office, and if they come through my office, I'll give it to the clerk's office also. So on that end, we're going to move forward, and can I have a first and a second to approve the minutes of the town board meeting for November 1st and November 15th?
So moved.
Please vote.
Kearns.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. Going to correspondence?
Yes, Diane, do we have communications and correspondence?
Yes, under correspondence, got a letter from Louis Morrow.
Diane, you gotta speak to the mic.
A letter from Louis Borrow in support of parking signs on Cliff Road East in Wading River. Debbie, I'm probably gonna say this wrong. Debbie Atonoga in support of the parking signs on Cliff Road East, Wading River. Susan Vorngran, she sent a letter urging considerations on the length of the moratorium. Georgette Keller sent a letter with regard to oak tree hazard on residential property. Mike McLaughlin sent a letter supporting the moratorium, and I have received at least 10 letters with regard to the moratorium that didn't make it onto the agenda, but they are in my office. Under reports, Town Clerk monthly report for November, $8,506.55. The Building Department monthly report for November, that was a utility collection report from the tax receiver, $262,537. And that is it.
Great. Thank you, Diane. We're going to now begin the public hearing portion of this meeting. Today's first public hearing was scheduled to 2 o'clock, and the time now is 2:15. We are opening up the meeting to discuss consolidation of a water main extension for villas at Roanoke. I believe the water superintendent is out sick today. However, we're going to have John Flynn. He's here to introduce the topic for us. Is Mr. Flynn here?
Yes.
Great. Can you please come forward? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
So, the villas at Roanoke Avenue, as they call it, is off of Sound Shore Road. It's gonna be a new development. We asked the developer for key money so we can connect the water main through, so we don't have a dead end. They're adding 1,200 feet of water main, a new hydrant, and like I said, we won't have a dead end, so the rusty water issues won't be a problem up there. Any
That's it?
question? That's pretty much it, yeah.
Anyone want to comment on this matter? And Chip will, in the
Can
meantime.
I just ask, does the developer pay for the project costs?
Well, we can answer. John Flynn.
John?
Yes.
Can I just ask, does the developer pay for the cost of the project?
Yes, he
Thank
paid
you.
the entire cost.
Thank you.
Nothing to the taxpayers of Riverhead Water District.
Thank you.
And that should always be the way.
Yep.
Hi, good afternoon. John Cullen in Northville.
Hi.
I've mentioned this before. Al Krupski, our legislator, I've spoken with him recently, with our president of our civic association and vice president, and we let Al know about this property. The town, obviously, the county, obviously tried to buy this property, and when the rates went up due to COVID and everything like that, they were outbid. But Al Krupski and legislator Al Krupski has opened up the issue again and is doing his homework to put a new bid out there for this property. And I'm hoping that the villas of Roanoke will wait out this or give us a little time. It does take time for the county to come up with a number. And I'm hoping that the number will come in a little stronger than it was and that the county can buy this land and preserve it. It abuts the North Fork Preserve, which the county and the town bought about 10 years ago, and it'd be a great addition to preserve it instead of putting 14 more homes there, which will bring in about 28 to 30 more cars, and the roads have enough traffic already. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Chip, do we have anyone on the Zoom? Again, no one else? Okay, the time now is 2:13, and we're going to close this public hearing. We're going to leave it open for written comments until 4:30 p.m. on Friday, December 16th, 2022, at the town clerk's office. Okay, moving forward, the next public hearing was scheduled for 2:05. The time now is 2:18. We're now going to open up a public hearing for those interested individuals with regards to changes to Community Development Block Grant Program. And for this, I'm going to ask our CDA Director, Dawn Thomas, to introduce this for us.
Dawn is stuck in a meeting, so she sent the rest of the team.
Okay, great, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you?
Doing good?
Hey, Frank.
The purpose of this public hearing is we would like to amend the 21 and the 2022 CDBG home improvement line from the community development block grants, transfer the funds to the parking lot and pedestrian improvement lines. The county is asking us to spend our credit lines down by the end of May, or we risk losing a lot of funding.
How much money is that?
What we're looking to transfer is from the 2021 line of the home improvement, we were looking to transfer $75,000, and the 2022, we were looking to transfer $50,000. So it's still going to be leaving in the 21 line. All the funding would be moved, but we would be leaving 60,000 for the 2022 line.
Great. Thank
And,
you.
So,
Anyone want to comment? Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, I'd just like to, this program, I'm sure you're well aware, there's very few programs that exist like this, especially in the town of Riverhead, that support the projects that the home improvement program supports. They benefit our low-income residents, our handicapped residents, and our veterans. The Riverhead Home Improvement Program is designed to correct basic housing problems, especially conditions that are considered dangerous to health and safety. The priority improvements include heating systems, plumbing, electrical systems, structural repairs, roofing, including leaks, and alterations for handicapped persons and winterization. So this is the largest chunk of our community block grants that we get year after year. And the fact that we're unable to use this money to help support our residents, I think, is something that we need to get a better handle on. You're being asked to take from the 2021 home improvement fund $75,000 and switch them over to pedestrian and parking lot improvements. That means in the year 2021, there was nothing spent to help these individuals in our community with the money that we receive from the county. There is an application process for this, which, obviously we need to do a better job of advertising. But when somebody has called the office to find out about availing themselves of these grants, they're told that there's a waiting list for these grants. So my question to you, the town board, is before you move forward with this, I think it would behoove you to find out if in fact there is a waiting list for these grants and why this money is being taken out from them if there is such a list. Also with the 22 home improvement grants, that's also $60,000, so that's $125,000 that could be going towards residents that are in need in our community. And these grant money are not just for homes. They can also be used for mobile homes, which I believe they are quite often used for mobile homes. And there is somebody in the office there that I think this is part of their job scope. So I really hope that you reconsider transferring this money over. Also in the resolution, there was not anything as to what the money would be going to, because it seems like there's a specific amount that you're looking to transfer to parking lot and pedestrian improvements. So does anybody aware what exactly the money is being transferred to be used for?
The CDA can answer that question. I hate to say, you're saying we're not advertising. We do have a community center. We have a senior community center, and they are, and you know this very well, Laura, when you were supervisor, that it's a very, very engaged senior center, and Touchy is charged with. We to indicate that there were no improvements to the seniors, I can tell you that that is not the case. And, I think you should give her a call because she's very engaged.
Well, Kelly doesn't administer this program. The senior center doesn't administer this program. In fact, they weren't even aware the program existed when we were called to ask about it. This is administered through the Community Development Agency only. So it doesn't, and the senior center does a terrific,
She does work
terrific,
with the
a
senior
terrific
center, but
job.
we're not gonna go back and forth on this regard. I know we're gonna be looking at it further. This is a public hearing. We heard your your remarks, and we thank you for your
And
remarks.
I just have one other comment on this also, is about 2 weeks ago, I had come up and asked about, because there was a contract made with a resolution for a contract with an outside contractor for parking and pedestrian improvements for about $14,000. And in that resolution, the fiscal impact statement said that there was no fiscal impact from approving that legislation. Yet today, we're here taking money from home, being asked to take money from home improvement into the parking and pedestrian line for this grant. So there obviously was a fiscal impact statement, and the resolution that you received regarding that resolution was inaccurate if you're now going to move this money around. So just to be aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. And Joe, did you want to comment?
Yeah, the former supervisor is certainly incorrect. Certainly, these funds that we are moving are going to town, to assist us in town projects that we often match with other Suffolk County funds. Any of these funds have to benefit persons with low to moderate income, so it has to be a low to moderate income area. As far as us continuing to fix homes, we've gotten an additional $160,000 outside of CDBG with federal home funds. We're currently working on a house that's going to cost roughly $90,000. Certainly with the construction funds now, a lot of these improvements are very expensive, so we reached out to Suffolk County ahead of this transfer, and we are able to continue working on home improvement with a different source of funds. In our opinion, certainly it's a better use of these funds for all town residents, so they will all certainly benefit. All of these funds would mostly be used for a variety of projects in downtown Riverhead, which is a low to moderate income area. And we often use these funds to match Suffolk County downtown revitalization funds. So then we have two separate matches, so a lot of these projects end up not costing the town taxpayers any money at all. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, I just have two questions. So what you're telling me that you got Suffolk County approval to transfer these monies?
Of course.
Okay, and that's what you should do.
And it's
because-
contingent on this hearing here.
Okay, and then the seniors are still getting their home improvements, and we have a viable program, and we have plenty of
That's
money.
correct.
Okay, I just wanted to,
I just have to say, Suffolk County has not approved this. This is contingent on this public hearing and you voting to go back to the county to transfer this fund. So it's you are requesting to the county to transfer these funds. So if you approve this resolution when it comes through, you will be the ones that is taking the money from the home improvement program and putting it into pedestrian program. And there is a waiting list according to the department. So for Joe to say that you know we have enough funds for everything, then there should be no waiting list for these projects.
okay, Laura, this is a comment period,
I'm
going
just-
back and
I know,
forth.
but he spoke
We're not
to
gonna
what
turn
I
this
was
into a
speaking, so I
circus.
just wanted to check.
Yeah, this is a
certainly-
comment period.
I certainly didn't say that we have enough funds to fix every single home. That's virtually impossible. I did say that we have enough funds to keep the part-time staff person who runs this program occupied, because we're currently working on one mobile home and a large, extensive house renovation that's going to cost about $90,000. There's always going to be a need to fix houses, and we're looking for other sources of funds. But before we agreed to move these funds, we certainly asked Suffolk County about it. They did not object. We just got approved for up to $120,000 for this existing renovation. So we're certainly doing our part to continue having a viable home improvement program, but we still have to find sources of funds to accomplish other town projects that are of significant benefit to every single town resident. And those projects are in a low to moderate income area, which is a requirement of Suffolk County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Good afternoon.
Hi, Judy Jens, Riverhead. I just wanted to say that...
You're the former supervisor's
Mother.
mother? Okay.
Yes, yes.
I never met you, but...
I've
okay.
met you.
Well, I've seen you before, but...
Anyway, I just want to say there is a difference between the home improvement fund or project and the home chore that the senior center provides. This one is much more extensive and does a lot more. The home chore, which the senior center provides, is just a handyman, very light repairs. I've utilized them myself. This other one is much more extensive in the home improvement, can do wheelchair ramps, it can do roof repairs, which the handymen don't actually do.
But
Okay.
they make a request to the town.
Who does?
The senior center makes a request.
No,
to...
no.
Okay,
Through the home improvement, the individual makes a request.
Right, well, the town can request to go to this person's house. You need a name and a person to say, I need this, give me the specifics.
Right,
But
which-
let's not go back and forth. This is a comment period on this transfer, so can we keep it
But
to
what I'm
that?
saying is, why would you take all this money out of this home improvement fund when it's needed by people of low income?
There's a lot of money that's needed across the entire town.
Right, I understand that. There's a lot of things that need to be done.
And for
but-
people who have lower incomes, there is a lot
Right,
of money.
exactly. So you really can't afford to change it and move
Okay.
that money.
Great, thank you for your
Thank you.
comment.
Just one last point, just to clarify something, the home funds that I was talking are federal home funds. That's separate and apart from the home chore program run by the senior department. We still have $75,000 in CDBG year 2019 home improvement funds, and we have $60,000 in 2023 funds. We still have $120-something thousand there, and we're still spending home funds that have to be used towards a house. Those funds cannot be used for a mobile home, but fixing up regular houses is also important because it improves the housing stock of the town. But we're certainly not depleting all CDBG funds. Again, we have $75,000 from 2019 and $60,000 from 2023, and Suffolk County, part of the reason that we are moving this is because of their request to try to spend funds as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, because of the economy and supply chain issues, fixing houses often takes an extensive amount of time. So in addition to the actual benefit of all town residents with downtown projects in a low to moderate income area, those projects can be finished more quickly, and if we expend our total allocations, that assures that we're going to get funding in future years.
And there's a matching component, right, you said, Joe?
Well, no, for a lot of the downtown revitalization projects, there is a match. So we're able to use CDBG to match other grants, including Suffolk County revitalization. So that's why a lot of those projects end up not costing the town taxpayers any money at all. And that's pretty important.
Thank you, Joe. Great.
Just to clarify, the home chore program operated through the senior center often does have a waiting list, but it's not so much because of lack of money as much as it is lack of manpower. And I believe the supervisor's budget this year actually is providing for, instead of a part-time worker there, to be able to put a full-time worker in the home chore program. So that will help give us more time, somebody who can work full-time and get more work done than just a part-time worker right now.
We did expand that department, and we'll continue to do so. Anybody online? Anyone else want to come forward in this regard? No one? Okay, we're going to close this public portion of the meeting. The time now is 2:32. Get confused between both clocks, as that one said 5:30 in the last meeting. And now we're gonna close this public, and we're gonna leave it open, for 10 days, until 4:30 PM on Friday, December 16, at the town clerk's office.
We have to have it open for 30 days, so we were gonna keep it
Oh,
open until January 6th of 2023.
Okay, so I'm gonna adjust the notes and the minutes, it's gonna be January
January 6th.
6. So that's gonna be for 30 days, okay? Thank you
right,
for
thank
bringing
you.
that up. Okay, that meeting is closed.
Supervisor, did you notice they had to bring in an entire team to cover for Dawn?
Yes, you see that? Okay, our last public hearing was scheduled for 2:10, and the time now is 2:33, and we're gonna now open the public hearing regarding stormwater management and erosion and sediment control. For this, I'm gonna ask Drew Dillingham, our engineer, to come forward. Is Drew here?
Drew Dillingham is on a site. He's stuck on a site, but we have him on speakerphone, and he's gonna introduce the topic for the board, and he'll field any questions.
Okay, and you have it
Drew,
near the
can you
mic?
hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Larry, you pick him up here? You got that?
May want to
Drew,
turn
you
the
want me to
speaker-
say test, 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 so he can,
Yeah, I need the table mic on, Larry. Okay.
Drew, you want to say test?
Go ahead,
1,
Drew.
2?
Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, great.
okay.
Go ahead, so you can introduce the topic for us.
Okay, so the topic is our consultant who does our reviews and site inspections for stormwater pollution prevention plans, also known as SWIPs. They asked us for an increase for their services, which again are review and inspections. Last time they received one, I believe, was 3 years ago. The economy's gone crazy, and we agreed that they're well worth the money, and this has already been brought before. This has been brought before the town board. That's it.
That's it?
Any,
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay, anyone from the public want to come forward in this regard?
I would just, Supervisor, I would just expand on it. I would say that the increase requested is from $110 per hour to $130 per hour. And it's my understanding that this is commensurate with community standards and similar professional services across Long Island.
Okay,
That's right, Eric.
okay, anyone from the public want to come forward? Chip, again, do we have anyone? We do not have anyone. Okay, the time now is 2:35. We're going to close the public portion section of this hearing, and we're going to leave it open for written comments for 10 days. 4:30 PM on Friday, December 16th, at the town clerk's office. And this is now going to conclude the public hearing portion of this meeting. And now I'm going to move on to taking public comments on any of the resolutions before us today. Do any members of the public want to come forward regarding the resolution, specifically the resolutions before us today? At the end of the meeting, you'll have time to speak on any comment, any matter. So who wants to come forward?
And before we get started, I would just once again, as I always do, remind everyone that the comments are limited to 5 minutes.
Hi, Laura Jen Smith from Laurel. I'd just like to comment on Resolution 259 and, 859 and 860. One is for the anaerobic digesters for the, might be the wrong one, but it's for the, if it's for the digesters and for the battery storage. I think all of you are well aware that the community has been asking for a moratorium, and to have these zoning changes roll into a comprehensive plan. So I urge you to table these, move forward with the moratorium that you've been putting forward, that the community has been asking for, and I hope that you will consider that when you're voting. The one other resolution I had was Resolution 854, which sets the times and days for the town board meetings. just, you know, it's difficult for people to get here at 2 o'clock, and it's difficult for some people to get here at 6 o'clock, but it tends to be easier for people to get here in the evening and to do Zoom at the 6 o'clock rather than the 2 o'clock meetings, and there's a little bit of an imbalance. You have your about 14 2 o'clock meetings and only about 10 6 o'clock meetings. I would ask you to maybe take a look at that and balance it out a little bit, so that the community can participate in the meetings. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Afternoon, Supervisor, Councilman. My name is Adam Stanek. I'm here with Hexagon Energy, and I wanted to make a comment today on the Town Board Resolution 2022-860 about battery energy storage system. I'm here today, like I said, from Hexagon Energy, also partnering with 2 landowners and local residents here for Stephen Tuttle and Bob Dunkirk of Mill Road Properties on 87 Mill Road. And I just want to talk about the implications of the proposed code that you're proposing to put forward at a hearing on December 20th on all potential battery projects in the town, as well as our project specifically that we've proposed. So really quickly, I'll summarize something I'll give you some information on after. But there's over 15,000 parcels in all of Riverhead, 15,000 parcels of land. Of those 15,000, when you look at the battery energy code, battery storage energy code as proposed, there's only 19 parcels that would qualify for a battery energy storage system under that code and also be close enough to electrical infrastructure to put a project on there for a tier 2 battery system. So it's only 0.1% of all parcels. I want to specifically narrow it down further. When you look at those 19 and then you look at active businesses on them, there's 7 more parcels you have to throw out because there's high value businesses you couldn't redevelop as a battery. So you have 12 parcels left in all of Riverhead. Now there's 3 substations in Riverhead. There's the one out in Calverton that was made for solar farms. There's the Tuttle substation to the east, and there's the main substation for Riverhead, which is south of the Peconic River where Mill Road terminates. Now, really, if you're going to put a tier 2 battery, this is from the perspective of a renewable energy developer, if you're going to put a battery where it's going to give the most benefit to residents of Riverhead, as in the greatest opportunity to lower your electrical bill, prevent blackouts, make the grid more resilient, that would need to be near that main substation where Mill Road terminates. And if you look at the code as proposed, there's only 5 parcels that are close enough to that sub to meet the requirements of the code, and only 2 of those 5 are adjacent to high voltage transmission lines. So this is the point. Out of 15,000 parcels, you have 2 that you could consider to put a system that would be of the highest benefit for residents and for electrical grid for the town with the code as proposed. This is where Stephen Tuttle, Bob Dunkirk, and Mill Road Properties come into the picture. They own 87 Mill Road. Now, the Tuttle family, they've operated businesses in Riverhead since the 1960s, longtime residents, paying their taxes, running businesses for the benefit of the town. They want to redevelop that property for a higher and better use. They would like to make it a battery energy storage system. However, under the code as written, they cannot even submit that for the town's consideration. The reason is, while their property's always been of an industrial use, in the early 2000s, it was rezoned as RB40. Now, there's no other RB40 parcels in all of Riverhead that are over 40,000 square feet and close enough to electrical substation. That's because RB40 parcels are supposed to be 40,000 square feet. Theirs is 140,000 square feet because it's not really meant to be RB40. So the point is this. There's 2 adjustments that the board could consider making to the proposed code before it goes to a hearing on the 20th that would broaden the net to give you more candidates that you could look at for good parcels. And you would still retain your authority, not lose any authority to reject them because every project still needs a special permit. So these adjustments are this. 1, your code already allows for batteries on residential parcels. However, when you actually do the GIS analysis of parcels that meet all the requirements of the code, 0 residential parcels meet that requirement. That's because none of them are within 1,000 feet of a substation. So you could extend that to 2,500 feet from a sub, that would help. But also, there would still be, the only parcels that are named residential in the code that are allowed are RA80. Those are all the parcels up toward the North Shore. And even after you extend to 2,500 feet, 0 RA80 parcels will qualify. So that says something. The code intends for residential parcels, but none qualify. If you just add RB40 as another residential category that could qualify, then Stephen Tuttle, Bob Dunkirk, and Hexagon Energy's project could at least be considered under the code as written. there's a second adjustment you could make that would help. It would allow for 9 more parcels that would qualify to submit a battery project. And that is this. You could put in the code as an additional zoning use district that is allowed, parcels that currently have a non-conforming industrial use, where putting a battery on it would then be a less intensive non-conforming industrial use than the current non-conforming use. This would open up 9 more parcels that could have a battery project. Not a lot, but it would also allow Mr. Tuttle and Mr. Dunkirk's property to be considered for a project. Bottom line is, I'm just asking for the board to write the code as written when you adopt it, without requiring an amendment or rezoning or having to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for this project to be considered. So would you please consider these 3 adjustments that would allow you to retain the power to reject it if you determine it's not in the best interest of the town, but at least consider a few more options without making the code overly restrictive. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Hi, good afternoon. Catherine Kent, Meeting Hollow, Calverton. I just wanted to ask some questions on a couple of resolutions. First resolution 853, the one on the grant application for Suffolk County program. I thought that they're all great and well-deserving. I was happy to see the list. Everyone on that list is really well-deserving of the funding. Did want to clarify something, though. Gwen Mack mentioned to me that she was told that her amount was going to be $5,000, not $8,000. So I wanted to inquire about that and see if that's the case, if they were all reduced from $8,000 to $5,000.
I think it went up to, from 5 to 8.
They're all 8,000.
Yeah, because in the resolution, it says 8 for all of them, but she told me she thought she had been told it would be 5, but
Well,
I
read
said
the resolution, it says 8,000.
the resolution reads 8 for each, so I
Okay.
just,
Yeah, it was
okay,
increased.
so that's what, all right, good. I just thought maybe that was a misunderstanding, so I wanted to clarify that.
But you read it in the resolution, and that's the amount, so, and you can
Yes.
call us, if you ever have a question, when anybody in the community, you can call us and check that out.
Okay, so my
just
other question.
Real quick.
Sorry, Eric.
This is the application, right? So the amount that you request on the application may not necessarily be what's awarded by the county after reviewing the application. I think could solve that inconsistency.
Okay, thanks, Eric, and I would assume that would require a budget adjustment. Okay, all right, thank you. The other resolution I just had a quick question about was Resolution 856. Those were the Christmas lights for the tree. That was kind of cool, I thought. Or those are the, wouldn't that be non-pro-tunc?
Doesn't that say, should say that? It should be non-pro-tunc.
I know they are already accepted because they're already lit up.
Unless they're gonna take it when the tree comes down, maybe they'll let us
Yeah,
keep it.
maybe it's a loan.
Chip, can you look at something real quick?
All right, those are my only questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Catherine.
National Grid did provide us, I think, may have cost upwards of $2,000, the lights for the tree lighting, and so, okay. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Takwi Turchin, Greater Calverton Civic Association President. I'd like to address the anaerobic digester 859 resolution and the battery storage resolutions. The gentleman who just spoke, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, sounds like he has a lot of good things to say. That opportunity should be happening during the comprehensive plan. Done. To that end, I have a quick email. It's from a Wading River resident, and she writes, and you probably have already seen this if you had a chance, a lot of this correspondence that came in was overnight, in case you weren't able to get to it. It's very, It's very brief. From Bernadetta Fronin. I have 3 questions that I'd like an answer to from the town board. 1, when will the contract to complete the comprehensive plan be signed? Number 2, why isn't a moratorium being seriously proposed
Which one is this?
to halt?
I'm sorry, which is this on? Which resolution?
I'm addressing the resolutions for land use zoning changes for anaerobic digester
Okay, gotcha, thank
and
you.
for the battery storage. Number 2, why isn't a moratorium being seriously proposed to halt unpopular, unwanted development that has garnered vocal opposition from local residents? 3, whose best interests are served? Thank you for your time in providing your responses, Bernadetta Fronin. These are cogent remarks from a resident. We've been here for 5 meetings. This room right now is still filled with people from Calverton Bating Hollow. My voice quavers and my lips tremble because of the anger that people are feeling, and I'm carrying it to this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your remarks. Again, Adam Stanek, Hexagon Energy and Mill Road Properties. I neglected to mention something that 44 residents asked me to pass along from Glenwood. The residents of Glenwood, as you probably know, live adjacent to the proposed battery project on 87 Mill Road. And I have a petition signed in favor of that project by 44 members of the Glenwood community that live closest to where that battery will be. This petition not only says they want this project to happen and they want the battery code to be accepted, but they also request the battery code is accepted with our edits in the code that I've suggested today. I wanted to leave a copy of this petition with 44 residents from
give it to the clerk,
Glenwood
please?
in favor with each of you, and also leave you a copy of our GIS analysis that I referenced.
Okay, can you provide that to the clerk, please? Thank you. Chip, is there anyone online? Yes. Okay, can we come forward? Oh, no, one at the podium. We'll take this one online. Kathy McGraw? Okay. Sure.
Kathy, you're on.
Thank you. Kathy McGraw from Bill. I watched the work session on December 1st. I could only conclude that you all are ignoring the public, the people you represent. And you're attempting to cram through code changes concerning the very things that you've been discussing as appropriate topics for study and inclusion in the update to the comprehensive plan. Specifically, anaerobic digesters and battery storage systems. These are also matters that were discussed just a week ago in the work session by Tim Hubbard when he proposed a moratorium. Yet at the very end of the last work session, the supervisor, urged on by Mr. Kern, allowed a discussion of a matter that wasn't even on the agenda. Specifically, a public hearing for December 20th on a zoning code change to allow battery storage systems. I said to myself, surely this can't be happening. Battery storage systems are currently not allowed in Riverhead. They are not benign, and they can be extremely dangerous fire hazards. And everybody knows full well no one will be paying attention to a hearing on December 20th, 5 days before I came away from watching that session believing that Mr. Kern and Supervisor Aguiar, the 2 proponents of this code change, were trying to pull a fast one by bypassing a moratorium discussion and making piecemeal code changes on matters that need in-depth study and inclusion in the comp plan update. As these tactics were clearly underhanded, irresponsible, and completely unacceptable, I was hopeful that you, Mr. Hubbard, you, Mr. Bayrod, and you, Mr. Rothwell, would stop this reckless behavior. But here we are today with resolutions 859, 860, 61, and 62 on the agenda for public hearings on anaerobic digesters and battery storage systems, both very complex matters that have had no substantive discussion by the board as a whole. This is just a step too far. And just how stupid do you think we, the taxpayers, are? It is crystal clear that you are ignoring us, forging ahead with major changes one by one, and you have no intention of ever updating the comp plan. It's completely irresponsible to push through zoning code revisions at this time. The people of Riverhead don't want this, but clearly the developers do. As town board members, you're supposed to be working for us, not the developers. Mr. Hubbard, Mr. Bayrod, and Mr. Rothwell, you are people of integrity. I believe you care about this town and its people more than the big dollars of developers and campaign contributors. Clearly, we have not always seen eye to eye on everything. But that is what deliberative open government is all about. Democratic government with a small d has rules and an expectation that those being represented will be listened to. And I believe you three try to follow those rules and meet those expectations. Supervisor Aguirre and Bob Kern, I don't believe that you do. While talking about and giving lip service to a moratorium that the public wants, you are moving forward on matters that should be a part of a moratorium. And why else would you try to schedule hearings on important zoning code changes at this busy time of year? Easy answer. You think folks aren't paying attention and you can slip them through. It was clear at the work session when Mr. Kern and the supervisor raised this matter that was not on the agenda, that they were up to no good. Mr. Rothwell, you weren't present. And Mr. Bayrod, I heard you make a comment that you didn't know anything about this. And Mr. Hubbard, your moratorium wasn't even discussed. Enough is enough. It's time for board members who put Riverhead first to step up and stick up for this town. Just please say no. Vote against these resolutions today. Propose your own resolution for a moratorium. Pass it, and then get the comp plan update contract signed and completed. This town deserves nothing less, and the three of you have the votes to get this done. We ask that you distance yourself from this underhanded behavior and do the right thing for the sake of this town. People have had it with being ignored. And I feel you'll have an enormous mess on your hands if you pass these resolutions today. Please vote them down. Thank you very much.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike. We're done.
Good afternoon, Mike Foley, Reeves Park, speaking about Resolution 859 and 860 collectively, because they both have to do with amending Chapter 301. And I'm glad that the young man representing the future anaerobic digester applicant is here, and I look forward to seeing you on the 20th, because I'm going to be here on the 20th, and I'm sure there's going to be other people here on the 20th that will be happy to dig into the facts that you're saying. But I would also ask the future applicant one other thing. You're looking at the zoning as it existed, as prescribed in 2003's comprehensive plan. There is nothing saying that we can't add additional lots with new zoning in contemplation of the new comprehensive plan. So I would ask you to consider that, because certainly the same way as nothing in the Calverton area was contemplated for millions of square feet of development as proposed right now and requested moratorium by the planning board a couple of weeks ago, was ever considered in 2003. So I would like you to just consider that, because I believe if this comprehensive plan is drawn up properly, we're going to have a lot of changes in the zoning code that are going to be good for this town. We'll be able to put things where they belong. We'll be able to preserve the rural character that we have now, expand on real estate that is meant for residential and not industrial, and put the industrial spots where it belongs. So for everything that we've heard here, it all comes down to the same thing. These resolutions that we're looking to put into a public hearing right now is the core content of a new comprehensive plan. Why would you not allow the professionals that we're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for? Why would you not allow the people that are real smart in this town? You know, we've got a lot of Mark Harbners and Barbara Blasses and people that are very, very familiar, not only with the code, but with the new technology. I trust Mark Halbner's opinion on anaerobic digesters and battery storage candidly than anybody sitting on that dais. And I think a few of you up there feel the same way. So I don't know if it's too late to table these resolutions or for the three people that Kathy McGraw mentioned to vote them down. I do think that we have to take a look at this entire town comprehensively, that we're so close to a comprehensive plan being delved into and come up hopefully with a consensus of not only the developers and the realtors, but the residents of this town to make this town as good or better over the next 20 years. And that's going to take a comprehensive plan that puts the development where it belongs. So I will ask you to table this resolution. I don't know if it's going to get anywhere because I understand this public hearing is a first step towards granting new technology that we don't have on the books right now. We didn't really have solar on the books in 2003, and we saw what happened over the last couple of years. We want to limit that, and you guys did that with the moratorium. I'm not going to talk about a moratorium now. I'll talk about that in public comments. I'm going to confine my comments to Resolution 859 or 860. But I do think all five of you, looking at this objectively, can see the merits in putting these kind of zoning changes on hold pending the outcome of all the diligent work that everybody's going to do towards making this a successful comprehensive plan in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Kip, do we have anyone online? Okay. Anyone else want to come forward?
Catherine Wheeler, Calverton. This is with respect to the resolution about the BESS, the battery energy storage systems. I know in the recent past, Mr. Murphy stated, and I'm paraphrasing here, I think Ms. McGraw brought this up too, that he wanted to be proactive and educate the board regarding battery storage systems. In that vein, I would like to share this article from FEMA, which you all know is a federal agency. And I'd like to read it out and have it read into the record. This is an article that says, Emerging Hazards of Battery Energy Storage System Fires. In April 2019, an unexpected explosion of batteries on fire in an Arizona energy storage facility injured 8 firefighters. More than a year before that fire, FEMA awarded a fire prevention and safety research and development grant to the University of Texas at Austin to address firefighter concerns about safety when responding to fires in battery energy systems of all sizes. The conductor of the research, Dr. Ezkoy, is working with other engineers, firefighters, and industry partners to develop a better understanding of the magnitude of fire hazards. There has been a dramatic increase in the use of battery energy storage systems, BESS, in the United States. These systems are used in residential, commercial, and utility scale applications. Most of these systems consist of multiple lithium-ion battery cells. A single battery cell 7 by 5 by 2 inches, can store 350 WHRs, which is waste heat recovery of energy. Unfortunately, these lithium cells can experience thermal runaway, which causes them to release very hot, flammable, toxic gases. In a large storage system's failure of one lithium cell can cascade to include hundreds of individual cells. The hot, flammable gases can result in an explosion or a very difficult fire to extinguish. Although the fire service routinely responds to explosive scenarios, such as those associated with natural gas leaks, standard operating procedures do not exist for scenarios like a battery energy storage system for which there is no way to cut off the gas supply. The fire service is unaware and inexperienced with the fire and explosion hazards of BESS. The FP&S-RD studies started with a laboratory test in which a single cell failed in one commercial storage module containing a total of 14 cells. In one of the early tests, when a single cell failed, smoke and gases were released that ignited and burned intensely for 12 seconds. Toxic smoke and gases filled the test space. The research team has subsequently connected small-scale battery failure test results to large-scale fire and explosion consequences associated with these systems. Through this research, one of the biggest lessons learned for the fire service is that the utilities and commercial entities that own large battery systems are equally unfamiliar with the potential fire hazards. As well, there remain many questions about the toxicity of the battery vent gas. From 2014 to 2018, residential BESS installations have increased 200% annually. Further research into residential BESS hazards is essential, as BESS hazards could eventually become a regular part of dwelling fires. According to Professor Izoki, the results of this study will lead to wider awareness of BESS hazards, a greater understanding of the underlying fire behavior of these systems, and eventually, the development of safe standard operating guidelines and procedures for firefighters. So again, I asked the board, do you have any idea if our volunteer fire department has any training in dealing with this type of hazard?
So I can answer that question. I did reach out to the Suffolk County Fire Academy, which does all training throughout the Suffolk County. They do have a program in place. They have offered training, so any fire department within any township within Suffolk County can sign up to take that training, especially if something is considered within your town. And they've also, because it's a countywide training, that they have reached out to companies that have put in applications for BESS, battery-powered energy storage systems, and they've also offered to cover expenses for that training as well.
Who does,
So
the county?
Suffolk County Fire Academy is in charge
No,
of
but I
training
mean,
through
they'll
all fire
cover-
departments.
But they'll cover the cost, is that what you said?
Yeah, they put the class together, but they've also received financing from BESS, battery-powered energy storage system companies that have projects throughout Suffolk County. So in
Right.
other words, somebody might be doing a project in Huntington,
Uh-huh.
but the training is provided to everyone within the county. It's not just provided to a fire department within Huntington. So
Right.
if you see a project that's going, someplace else in the town, see something that's interesting in Dix Hills, and you find that someday it may apply to somebody out here in Riverhead, Wading River, Manorville, any of that nature, they can tap into that training. So
Well-
there is training available.
Okay, that's good, that's excellent to know, but, I think this is just one of two that are proposed here in Riverhead with the battery storage. Isn't there another one, kind of Ryland or something? Okay, so there's another one, plus I just heard there's another one proposed in Cutchogue. So this is coming all around us, and when you have research that says, we're not so sure about the toxicity of the gas, we're not so sure. So I don't know if you as a board want to be the ones to say, gee, we brought this in with not a lot of preparation. I think there's a dearth of information right now. I agree with the speakers before that this should all wait until the comprehensive plan is in place. Thank you.
Anyone else? Chip, do we have anyone?
John Cullen, Northville. Councilman Rothwell, real quickly, I'm just listening to the past comments, and I dealt with hazardous fire situations dealing with the good old United Riverhead Terminal. When I spoke with them, the only two people in the area that had hazardous fighting material were Southampton and also, I believe it was Brookhaven. Would that be correct? As having a hazmat team?
I can tell you Southampton does not.
I'm sorry?
Southampton does not have a hazmat team. Hazmat teams generally come from the county coordinators. So Suffolk County Fire Academy addition has their own fire coordinators, and that's where your hazmat team's gonna come on a county level to respond to a hazmat situation.
Okay.
So any local fire chief on scene would call in the hazmat from the county to respond.
Which will obviously take
The county
multiple,
coordinators.
that will obviously take more than an hour for, if there were ever to be a situation.
The county coordinators are throughout the county, so it's not like they're all responding, from,
But to have a
their
hazmat
facility.
truck on this, to get to the site, if we're talking about this, is going to take some
Yeah,
time.
that'd be coming from Yaphank.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
For now. We also get training, right, for firefighters, $25,000.
As far as equipment that the fire departments might need, who would pay for that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
As far as new equipment that the firefighters might need, who would pay for that?
I don't know what equipment would be needed, so I couldn't answer that question,
Well,
but.
I think, again, those are things that have to be thought of. There is information out there about what would be required to contain these fires. From the heat section, there's like 4 steps right down to the fire. Some of this is, what do they call, thermal, some kind of thermal thing where they look into the actual site to determine how hot it is.
All
I mean, there's-
fire apparatuses are equipped with thermal imaging cameras that give us temperature readings.
Okay, all righty. But I think it's something that the board needs to consider.
Okay, Chip, do we have anyone else? Anyone else from the audience?
You sure you don't have anybody else? Just kidding.
No, we don't.
Good afternoon, Barbara Blast, Jamesport. I am opposed to resolutions number 859 and 860. It's very unusual that someone would object to holding a public hearing, but the circumstances surrounding these resolutions warrant such objection. Resolution 859 authorizes a public hearing to consider siting a solid waste management facility in Calverton. My read of the parameters would indicate that you have an exact parcel in mind. Now, there's a fully vetted public planning process. I was particularly interested in the prohibitions set forth in section XXX-XX and the limitations in section XXX-XX. Talk about skipping the details, filling in the blank slate, or correcting the typos. Whatever you want to call it, it's unacceptable, unprofessional, and embarrassing that you're prepared to vote on a resolution without care and concern for its content. You know your TOD got codified with the same XXX fix-it-later mentality, except it never got fixed. It's in the code book that way. Imagine the investors and the consultants for the multi-million-dollar projects you're trying to attract down at the TOD, looking at Riverhead's adopted code. Sure doesn't inspire confidence now, does it? These 2 resolutions are calling for public hearing on uses that are inconsistent with our current comprehensive plan and were anticipated to be fully analyzed and evaluated for appropriate siting and regulations in the comp plan update. The planning process must serve the public interest. According to the rules of conduct and professional behavior. Planners must strive to give citizens full, clear, and accurate information on planning issues and the opportunity to have a meaningful role in the process. Our community fully anticipated the opportunity to discuss the issues and impacts of these uses in the context and framework of the update to the comprehensive plan where it appropriately belongs. There's no planning document to justify the need or anything related to the operations of these facilities, the proposed locations, the implications in an EJA, nothing at all. And you're giving the public the opportunity to weigh in during a public hearing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 days before Christmas. I'll say it politely, shame on each and every one of you. Further, there is no contract hiring BFJ to continue the comprehensive plan update and no moratorium as was unanimously recommended by our planning board, your planning board, and endorsed by the planning department and the town attorney. And now it's clear that's all by design. Can you imagine your planning board asked for some time so they could wrap their arms around the sheer number and complexity of industrial development proposals in Calverton? And what do? How do you respond? You propose to locate new industrial uses in Calverton, which are not benign, but a type 1 action. I'm speaking specifically now about the battery storage, type 1 action, and should be studied in a GEIS. There's something very, very wrong with this picture. Councilman Rothwell, I think you could appreciate this. You know, sometimes you're out playing hockey and a puck inadvertently, it ricochets off your skate and it goes into the opposition goal and it counts. Unfortunately, it comes off. You scored one for the other team. I'm sure it might have happened to you, or you
Never
at least...
happened to me.
No.
Never happened to me, Barbara.
What I'm saying is it's unfortunate. It counts for the other team. It's clearly not intentional, and it's again, an accident. But we're all questioning here now. These things are not accidents any longer. The playmaking that's going on here never favors a win for the people who are Team Riverhead, and it's time that we challenge your actions. I urge you to table resolutions 859 and 860 to allow for proper, thorough, and appropriate professional analysis of these proposed uses in the context of our comprehensive plan update. I thank you very much for your time and attention.
Anyone else? Matt? Okay. Is anybody waiting on them? Okay, good afternoon.
Hi, did you guys have questions, Bob?
Bob, you wanted, Matt?
The XXX.
The XXX, it's going to be in the supplementary use section. The marijuana law has gone in, the numbers have been assigned. The assumption is we have assigned numbers for the battery storage system. It's gonna be in the same section, we're just not sure exactly what numbers are gonna be.
The digest is in the PIP, correct?
Correct, but it's being added as a supplementary use, so it's part 3. So when it speaks to the prohibitions, it's the section right above it. They just haven't been assigned section numbers yet, which
Thank you.
I understand can be missed. We'll endeavor not to miss that.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to make a comment?
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And no one's online? Okay. All right, so Diane, we're gonna move on to resolutions.
Resolution 831.
Water District Capital Project 82126 budget adjustment, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 832.
Water District budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 833.
Water District Capital Project number 82229, Restaurant Depot budget adoption, so moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 834.
Water District budget transfer, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 835.
Budget transfer for Justice Court, so moved.
Can I get a
Oh,
second?
second, sorry.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 836.
Appoint a call-in minibus driver, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 837.
Appoints a temporary office assistant to the tax receiver's office. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 838.
Appoints a part-time traffic control specialist, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Can I just ask you, is there a difference between a traffic control specialist and a traffic control officer?
There is.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so it is a clarification. I support yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 839.
Appoints automotive equipment operator, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 840.
Appoints automotive equipment operator, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 841.
Appoints automotive equipment operator. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 842.
Appoints a network and system specialist, too, so moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 843.
Appoints a maintenance mechanic, too, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 844.
Approves request for a leave of absence, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 845.
Accepts the retirement of a justice court director. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 846.
Ratifies the resignation of a justice court clerk, so moved.
Seconded?
I just have a question, Eric. So we're getting, we have a retirement and then a resignation?
Yes.
Is it the same person?
No, it's two different.
Or they're two different, right?
One's a clerk.
Okay, she had two, okay, I'm thinking of Roberta, that there was two resignation letters. She just adopted it. Okay, so this is, okay, thank you.
Kern.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yeah, thank you to Jean Hogan for her service. Yes.
Let me go back to Rothwell.
I vote yes. Thank you for your service.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Best of luck, Jeannie, we're gonna miss you. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 847.
Amends the resignation of a homemaker, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 848.
Awards a bid for general hardware items, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yeah, I just love it when local businesses win a bid out over the big box stores, so absolutely yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 849.
Awards bid for traffic signal emergency repair and additional work is authorized for the 2022-2023 year. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 850.
That's good. Authorizes extension of time to remit real property taxes for senior citizens receiving enhanced star pursuant to section 425 or section 467 of the New York State RPT. Is that RPTI?
Got an eye.
So moved. Oh, it's an I, RPTI. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 851.
Amends resolution number 2202-804, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 852.
Declares public emergency, nunc-pro-tunc, regarding Highway Department main salt barn. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote
Kern.
please.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 853.
Submission of grant application to Suffolk County for program year 2023 Community Development Block Grant Funding. So moved.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 854.
Supervisor, if I could just interrupt, with respect to Resolution 854 and 855, the good folks in our assessor's office were kind enough to point out that we have to just consider one change. We have one change to put before the board here. The town board meeting scheduled per the two resolutions there for May 16th, Tuesday at 6 p.m. We're reminded that that's grievance day, so we need to actually change that scheduled town board meeting to the following day, May 17th, Wednesday. So that's going to affect the town board meeting and also the CDA meeting. So the next two resolutions need to change reflective of those.
Okay,
That
so
minor
does the
change.
board agree to the request from the, to that request for an amendment to amend it?
From May 16th to May 17th?
Yes, just one day over.
Yes.
Make a motion to amend Resolution 854 and 855 to reflect the change of those meetings from May 16th to May 17th.
Okay,
Same
take a,
time noted.
Second.
great. Second, can you take a vote, please, on that request?
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The resolution has been amended. Resolutions have been amended. Now we call them individually?
Yeah.
Okay, Resolution 854.
Establishes time of regular meetings of the town board. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 855.
Establishes time of regular meetings of the Community Development Agency, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, and I want to note that the reason there's two resolutions is that one's the regular town board meeting, and the other resolution is for the CDA. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 856.
Accept,
Recommended change.
yes, I was gonna say it anyway, okay.
As adopted.
Yep, so accepts donation, nunc-pro-tunc, thank you, Councilwoman, former Councilwoman, of the outdoor Christmas lights from National Grid. So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, can we take a vote on the amendment, please?
Kern.
Yeah, as amended for non-proton. Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, as amended.
Aguirre.
Yes, it's amended, and again, thank you, National Grid.
Okay, so the resolution as amended was adopted?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, we took a vote.
Yeah, right, now we'll just call it as, okay. 856.
Accepts donation, nunc-pro-tunc, of outdoor Christmas lights from National Grid.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Take a vote on the amendment, please.
Kern.
Yes, as amended.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 856 is adopted. Resolution 857.
Classifies the site plan application of Tomcat Realty Holdings LLC as a Type 1 action pursuant to seeker and requests lead agency status for the purpose of coordinated seeker review, 901 to 932 Scott Avenue, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-135.20-1-1, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 858.
Notice to schedule a public hearing to amend Chapter 301 zoning and land development, Article 39 to allow outdoor and indoor sports and recreational uses and facilities as permitted uses and to allow accessory retail uses within the planned industrial park, PIP, zoning use district. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Mayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 859.
Resolution 859, I would like to make a motion to table.
Second.
Take a vote, please.
Kern.
No.
Rothwell.
No.
Mayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
To table, no.
Resolution adopted.
No.
I'll read the,
You gotta read.
I'll read the resolution now for vote.
Yeah, but we have this to
No,
add?
that's the second.
That's failed.
I'll just get that.
The motion to table failed,
Right.
now they call it resolution.
Right,
So, okay, we'll start.
so it's adopted to have, and all we're talking about, I don't know, all we're talking about is,
Public hearing.
a public hearing,
We're talking about a
to hear
public
from the
hearing.
public, and to have time to do more research and to talk to more of the planners, and our planner's not in, he's out sick, so again, it's just for a public hearing? Okay.
Okay,
So just to clarify.
so just to clarify, with respect to motion 848, Council, 859, I'm sorry, 859. Councilman Hubbard made a motion to table, that motion failed 2-3. And now we are calling the resolution for the town board to vote upon whether it should be adopted or not.
So, Resolution 859.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post notice, amend to chapter 301 supplementary regulations to include anaerobic digesters. So moved.
Second.
Take a vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes to public hearing.
Mayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
No, as I've stated many times before, anaerobic digesters and battery energy storage systems need to be reviewed and worked on through the comprehensive plan. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to have the comprehensive plan done. In my mind, it's foolish to move forward with such items that we have not much experience with, and to listen to people from the company, and I've met with the gentleman from Hexagon, but to have you say and tell these four people here tonight that their electricity rates are gonna go down, never, ever, ever gonna happen. I will give you that there may be some assistance during a brownout, but in terms of our electric rates going down, we're never gonna see that, and I just wanna clarify that. So that is, based on the fact that I think this needs to be addressed by the comprehensive plan, I'm gonna vote no also for it to go to public hearing.
Aguirre.
We need to be respectful
Yeah,
here.
no, there's no further comment right now.
Yes, there's no further comment, but we need to be respectful of people's opinion. So we're gonna continue moving forward. Vote to go to public hearing. That's what a public hearing is all about, so open it up, engage the public, and continue. Not just have closet, yes, no, and that's not good legislation, so yes, I'm gonna vote for it.
Okay, so resolution is adopted. Resolution 860.
I'd just like to have a discussion before we read the resolution. So we did work on this particular one in code revisions. We've already done public hearing for discussion, and we're going on a second public hearing, so rather than just keep being redundant, there were two things in which I did pass out to my fellow town board members and the supervisor and the town attorney, but to just make an amendment in section D2, in commercial and industrial district zoning use district, tier 2 battery storage system shall be allowed as an additional use instead of a secondary use. And from what I understand, wouldn't need a special permit. Talking to Matthew in our planning, he says it's already allowed, so to him this is redundant, but I just feel like rather than go from one place of the code to the other, research it, it simplifies it, and the answer's before you. And the second one is under G, Section 2, the regulatory fence shall be sited in such a way that encompasses the whole battery storage structure. So I just want to know if any of these things exist, that they're going to be fully fenced in. And so I asked support to make these changes to the legislation itself, so that they'll be part of the public hearing process.
So you're gonna move forward to adjust the resolution before us, and I need a second.
A second. Okay.
Yeah,
So wait,
Please,
I would like to make a motion to table Resolution 2022-860.
As I did before, I would agree, and I will second that. Just to table it.
okay, so now we're gonna, take a vote.
To take, the vote
Vote
is
on
to
the motion.
table.
Vote on the motion to table.
Okay.
Yep.
860.
Kern,
no.
Rothwell,
No.
Bayrod,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
No.
The resolution is not
Not
tabled.
tabled.
No, the
So I made,
resolution to table has failed.
so I'm making a resolution to make those adjustments in which I discussed, which I did hand out. I'd ask you to place it, to,
You wanna give it to the clerk, she can file it, so,
yeah. Yep.
okay.
So,
So here they are.
so you're making a motion to amend
I'm going to hand right to you.
as set forth in this attachment here. All right.
So we amended the resolution.
Okay, you're amending the attachment to the resolution, which is proposed chapter 301-283.23, requirements for tier 2 battery energy storage systems, subsection D. Proposal is to amend 2 thereunder to read in commercial and industrial districts, zoning use districts, comma, tier 2 battery storage systems
Shall be allowed as additional use.
as an additional use.
Yeah.
All right.
According to our planning, it is permitted right now, Matt, if you want to say it, but this just, he said it's redundant, but I just think I'd like it to be in there so that
This is-
it's not a research.
This would also allow our farmers to work with this, take a portion of their farm and utilize it to help them. So, yes, Matt?
If I could clarify, in the code, we do, in commercial and industrial districts, we do not have a specific limitation on number of uses. It's dictated by lot coverage, so that's how the code has been utilized. As Councilman Rothwell said, the planning department does not believe that needs to be added as to speak to a secondary use. And in terms of the fencing, it does, in the current draft, say that it's fully enclosed. I'd offer that maybe the law be noticed as written, and then if the board intends to have a public hearing, and then changes can be made at the public hearing, but it's this board's discretion.
Yep. I think, you said redundancy, but I think it clarifies it. We don't have to keep going back and forth and do it 3 or 4 times. So I'd like to know if I have support to make those changes.
All right, so we have a motion to make that amendment to subsection D.
And now we have to take a vote on the resolution for the public hearing.
Yes, please.
No, now you take a vote on whether to make that amendment.
Right, correct.
Okay, I thought we did the amendment. Oh, that was the first one, that's right. We did too. So this is the second amendment. We now have to go and take the,
No, when we tabled, this is for the amendment.
yeah, take it.
That means we voted on whether to
We're
take
making
it.
these 2 changes.
Good, we're gonna go for it. Take the vote.
So, Bob, you
Okay,
do
so
the
do we have a
second?
first and a
Yes.
second?
Yes.
So first is Rothwell, second is
Second.
Kern? Okay.
Vote, please.
Kern?
Yes.
Hold on, I have to get my thoughts here. Where am I? Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrod,
This is just to amend the verbiage in the,
Yes.
yeah,
Current notes.
fine, yes.
yes, okay. Hubbard,
To amend the verbiage, yes.
yes. Aguirre,
Yes.
yes, okay. The resolution 860 is amended by the vote. And now we'll call
Now you
that
gotta take a vote
resolution-
for
Now
it.
you have a second amendment, right? You had a
Well,
second
I did put
amendment?
them both together. I read them both together.
Okay,
Right? And I submitted it to the clerk.
all right.
Okay, and now we'll call the
Now you
resolution.
call the resolution.
Okay. Resolution 860.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post notice to amend Chapter 301, Part 3, Supplementary Regulations, to include Article L11D, Battery Energy Storage Systems. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
I just want to say before I vote on this, and based on the last vote as well, I'm not against either one of these changes or these projects, and I'm certainly not against hearing from the public on them, but I also didn't see any reason that we couldn't table them for another day. That being said, I will vote yes on hearing from the public.
Hubbard.
I will vote no, and I will simply say that I think we've kind of heard from the public. So, to me, it's kind of foolish to waste a lot of time to go through and put this up, but that's from me personally. The rest of the board, I respect your votes, and you know, you may vote differently than me, but I don't feel it's worth the waste of time because we have a comprehensive plan that is very soon to begin, and this needs to be addressed through that. And to me, it's simple. So, I vote no.
Aguirre.
We're going forward, yes.
Okay, Resolution 860 is adopted. Resolution 861.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to amend Chapter 301, Attachment 2, to add notations for a Tier 2 battery energy storage system. So moved.
Can I get a second, please? Tim?
Is this one?
Says Kern.
Kern.
Okay.
Second.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
No.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 862.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to amend Chapter 301, Attachment 3, to add notations for Tier 2 battery energy storage systems. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
No.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 863.
See people's.
Pay the bills.
Second.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, I also have, thank you, Diane. And Bob Kern, do you have
Yeah, I just want
an
to
announcement to make, please?
I'll let everyone know there's a blood drive, Tuesday, that's today, 1 o'clock this afternoon, which is till 7 p.m. It's located at the Riverhead Fire Department, 540 Roanoke Avenue on the 2nd floor.
We still have time.
All donors will receive a McDonald's voucher and refreshments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, so now we're gonna hear from the public on any matter. Chip, do we have anyone online? We don't, okay, nice.
Right, and just a reminder to everyone that the 5-minute rule similarly applies to the public comment section.
Hi, John Cullen, Northville. Just one last thing on that hazarded waste we talked about earlier, Mr. Rothwell, is obviously nothing can happen until the hazardous team gets there. Is that correct? I mean, you can surround the area and keep people away from it and block
Exactly.
it off,
I mean,
but the hazard team comes in and they do their thing. And the rookies will help them out, the people in training. Thank you very much. A couple of questions about Calverton. Insurance Auto Auctions in February 2014 signed a deal to keep the runways available for $25,000 per year. Is that $25,000 still coming in every year? Are you going to allow, if there was a catastrophe, the cars to be parked on the runways again? $25,000. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, we do know what you're talking about. However, if they reach out, hold on, before I let you finish, you let me finish, please. I
Sure.
appreciate that. If they reach out to us, and it's a contractual thing that the town has, and Eric, can you tell us what is standing?
Do you know if the town is receiving $25,000 a year right now in case of a catastrophe, as had happened previously?
If it's continuing?
Is it continuing?
My understanding is the lease is expired.
I'm sorry?
my understanding is the lease is expired, the agreement is expired, they would have to.
They're expired,
contact
so
us to
they
renew.
did not renegotiate another.
Not.
Okay, so
not-
if there's a catastrophe, then hopefully no cars will be put over there. Peter Skazlow, who runs the cars and everything over there. Chief, close your ears. I do ride my bicycle up and down that runway constantly. He seems to have left everything behind this year. There are 2 cars on the runway. The grandstands are there. 100 concrete blocks are there. There are 3 containers there, which are containers from a container ship sitting on the other runway. What is he paying for winter storage there? Or, as last year, he took everything away. And this year, he seemed to took only the expensive items away and left the runway as is. It's ready to go in 1/8 of a mile.
But
It's
CDA,
he just reached out to my office yesterday.
Okay.
And I didn't have an opportunity to contact him yet, but his intention was to try and work out some kind of deal to accommodate storage. And I would have to bring that to the board before it would go
And that would be
further.
accommodate storage as is?
Well,
where
no,
everything
I mean,
is right now.
If we're not happy with how it's laid out right now, we would require him to move it.
Okay, I mean, last year he took everything back, this year he seems to have left everything behind. So it's not natural, it's not as natural state as it should be.
Well, what I would say is we'll have our environmental consultant go and do the walkthrough that he typically does after these events. And any recommendations he brings back to us would probably inform the direction of the agreement, if any, that the town board is willing to enter into for storage.
So there's no agreement right now for him to leave everything there, he's been done for what, about 2 months now? So there's no agreement with the town, and he's just leaving it there. You don't know if he's gonna have the runways next year, depending on what the Germaisians do. So if the Germaisians say no, I presume it's just gonna be left there. I'm just going to read over some notes I hear. CAT's intent is to utilize the runways for the purpose of encouraging aeronautical startups and design and test for their designs on site, to allow corporate jets to bring in executives to connect with their investments and provide means of urgent or time-sensitive supply chain components to be flown in. West Hampton Gabreski is 13-minute drive. I've done it many times. 13 minutes. Once a private plane lands on that runway with the FAA's A-OK, Calverton is going to have an airport. Once a private jet lands there, that's just the beginning of the end. I just wanted the town board to know. I'm sorry to say this to the people of Calverton, but they should be aware of it. I was part of the team FAA, or the Riverhead Air Force, or Noise Craft, and I've been doing it for 10 years. I've been working with the FAA. Once they see an opening, they're going to take it, and they're going to take every inch of it. I'm dealing with East Hampton Airport, as some people might know, and I know everything that's going on out there. Another comment real quickly. This is, I believe, from our supervisor. We will do a whole secure evaluation. Set at a luncheon. The prospective buyer submitted an application. The application is to be approved by the DEC. The planning board. This is just the making, and eventually it's going to all settle down, and the civic groups and all the interested groups. The civic groups have been coming here begging for a moratorium. They're not getting it. The civic groups have been begging for help over in Calverton, and we're a team, and we're stick together. Another thing, I never joined Facebook until recently. Thank you, Denise Civiletti. Because of your Riverhead locals, now I can read your comments. And I used to be able to read them out of the paper. And this one goes toward Bob Curran. And I'm sure the town board does the same. They all read
John,
these comments.
Is this your last comment? Is this your last comment?
No,
You're at the end of your
you
5
took some of my time. Let me just bust through it. I'm pretty
Well,
soon.
you asked me a question.
I know, I'm pretty soon. Well, if I ask you, I won't ask you any more questions. Bob Curran seems to not care at all about the people of Riverhead feel. His only thoughts are about money. Maybe money is not the only important thing that this town needs. Maybe we want a place to live that will give us peace and beauty.
That's why we moved here.
All right, John,
And
why
this
don't
is
you-
another-
why don't you let
so-
the other people go and then come
I'm
back
gonna
up?
be right, just give me a couple of seconds. For those looking to buy affordable housing or startup homes in Riverhead, look no further than Calverton. This is what you have now and will have in the future. Hopefully clean drinking water. You already have the biggest amount of solar fields on Long Island. Soon to be the biggest warehouses on Long Island. will there ever be a moratorium on the agenda? I have no doubt that the runways will be used in the future for cargo, most likely once the FAA gets involved. It's over. You have the only drag strip Long Island in the past 2 years, and maybe more. You may also be coming with an anaerobic digester. You'll have a water park that has seen nothing but delays since the beginning, and will bring 2,500 to 3,000 people a day, according to their spokesman. Car traffic, hey, but we get a discount. And one good thing, you have the best and safest bike path in all of Suffolk County, and I ride it constantly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Fortunato. I'm a resident of Foxwood Village. At 17 years of age, I'm just going to take a moment to introduce myself, my background. At 17 years of age, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, 24691. I mustered out as a sergeant. I've never got accustomed to being bullied. To some extent, I'm very uncomfortable the way this meeting is being conducted and the way things are being brushed aside. Do we have any former Marines up on the board right now or in the audience? The Marine Corps motto, as most of you probably do know, is Semper Fidelis, always faithful. The term always faithful is always faithful to Marines, but in this case, it's going to be always faithful to the constituents that are here from Foxwood Village and other locations who are under jeopardy for the threat of this warehouse development. I'm going to read a statement that I wrote, and I sent it on an email today. Give me a second to find it. My wife, Margaret, and I are long-term residents of Foxwood Village. During our residency, we've experienced multiple zone-changing threats by the board to enable construction of various projects over farmland by changing zoning. Moreover, the board, previous boards, has approved construction of Costco and the additional commercial enterprises adjacent to Costco, which in turn has undermined the security, privacy, and serenity of our entire retirement community, our homes. I'm used to defending the land, the United States of America. I'm not used to defending my homeland and my own backyard and my wife from threat. I perceive what's going on right now as a genuine threat to our community. I lost my note. Shit. Maybe you have to bear with me 1 second. Thank you, love. You may want to stand here. Okay, thank you. You are permitting the assault on our community and lifestyle continues with the current Warehouse Plus construction project, which is in very close proximity to Foxwood Village and other retirement communities. The project, in my estimation, is unconscionable to think that you would do that to people who moved out here to Calverton to look for peace and quiet, safety and serenity. I implore you to once again not change the zoning to enable it to go ahead with this warehouse project. I also implore you to authorize the moratorium and to also put cancellation efforts into stopping this project completely. We the people, and I think we the people are here tonight. We live there. You folks work for we the people. Semper Fidelis, always faithful. We the people demand corrective action. Do not proceed with this residential, cultural, and sanctuary destruction project. We do hold you accountable. Yes, we do. please support this request by stopping the warehouse construction project. We the people are speaking. Do you hear us? Thank you.
I just want to make a note that your statement with the Marine is what we all believe, and I know I'm not going to waver, so we're not going to go back and forth. The people elected us in office, having faith in us, and we're going to make sure that we safeguard the community, we work with the community, and to be made accusations that we're not supportive of our community, the one that elected us, is not true. This is your time to share your opinion. I can tell you my opinion and how I feel, and it's a fact. Moving forward, how you doing? Good afternoon.
Mark Hobner from Aquabog. Is there anybody on Zoom, Chip? Well, tell them to wait. I would like to thank Mike Foley for his unending loyalty, and my condolences if I'm the smartest guy you know. Wow, you got to come to class with me. I took a CPR course, a simple one, online, and found someone unresponsive. I instructed the program to check for breathing. There was none, so I instructed the machine to do mouth-to-mouth. Then I checked for a pulse, and finding none, I started chest compressions, and I press finished, all proud of myself, just to find that the patient had died from the loss of blood from a severed artery. We are putting Band-Aids on open wounds here with every spot zoning decision, every special permit, every exemption, every non-conforming use that we allow. I've learned a lot about the process of being involved with our development of a comprehensive plan. We start with a vision of our residents. We then consider the best use of the land. Then we create zoning to incorporate this vision. Then we write code which supports the zoning. Not the other way around. Not the tail wagging the dog. We can only stop to consider a moratorium without making precedent-setting exemptions in order to honor the vision of our citizens. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Clifford from Riverhead. I want to first read a message, a letter to the Town Board of Riverhead from Allison Matway of Wading River. She says, I am writing today as a Riverhead resident and taxpayer, demanding that the town adopt a moratorium on all development in Calverton until the comprehensive plan is finalized. Failure to do so is a slap in the face to the taxpayers who elected you to serve our interests. Please uphold a moratorium of at least the time it takes to complete the comprehensive plan. Thank you. This must be getting very tiresome for you guys, having to listen to so many residents expressing concerns and questioning your priorities and your motivations as they work to convince the four of you to join Councilman Hubbard and put a moratorium in place until our comprehensive plan is completed. It's not only our long-term future, but Riverhead's immediate future that's predicated on having an updated plan to provide the roadmap of where we're going and what we want and what we don't want here. What's taking so long? You should know that at this point, there's a theory the delay in completing the plan is intentional, but I'd like to give you the benefit of doubt on that. Yet it looks like none of what's been said so far for weeks now is making much of a difference. Beyond residents' comments, it's troubling that you'd ignore the advice of our own town attorney, Eric Howard, advice which could save us from having to contract additional attorneys to show up in court in defense of whatever misjudgment would have gotten us there. Nobody wants to think that your refusal to move ahead with a comprehensive plan or to put this moratorium into place is tied to campaign contributions or personal relationships. Although that $5,000 donation by HK Ventures looks more significant when you say you want to carve them out of any possible moratorium, but I'll give you the benefit of doubt on that as well. I wouldn't want to be sitting where you are, but if I was, I think I'd be listening to the people who live here, who pay taxes, that pay your salaries, who support our local businesses so they can continue to pay taxes. These people who have, it would appear, a larger emotional investment in this town than some of our town board members. If you were at the podium offering an opinion, not as a town board member but as a resident, what would you be saying? only one of you, only Tim Hubbard, who has deep roots here, is in support of this moratorium and completing the comprehensive plan for the good of our town, but what about the rest of you? There is one board member who will remain nameless, but we all know whose interest in Riverhead became pretty clear when he unilaterally declared we would now be the town of yes. You cannot always say yes. Wait, there was a no. While the town board had assembled a committee and spent a year narrowing down exactly what would be suitable locations for cannabis sales, you said no to narrowing down suitable locations for firearms dealers. Oh, Tim tried to get you on board, but that didn't happen, which was a disappointment and a study in hypocrisy. You agreed to focus on the dangers of cannabis, but ignored, again, over the voice of town residents, the plea to set restrictions so we wouldn't have a firearms dealer and a firing range in the middle of a residential area. I won't even mention campaign contributions here, but what does that say about your priorities? Again, it's not about guns. Have your guns. It's about being responsible. Ironically, the board is saying no to SECRA, impact study requirements. How many apartment buildings, medical offices, retail spaces, fast food establishments have gotten their yes without agreeing to do a study ahead of breaking ground to know if our water district can provide sufficient supply, how the project will access our sewer system, will it affect local traffic, is there sufficient parking, or will they rely on our town lots? Will construction cause problems? There are plenty of hidden issues that may come up that could negatively impact the neighborhood, the residents, the town. Is it that it takes too much time creating something of a moratorium until a full impact study is done? Why isn't there a study required, not just on the individual warehouse proposals, but the cumulative impacts as well? 4, 5, 6 giant warehouses in one central area, that's a potential 4, 5, 6 times the harm done to our town. Shouldn't we look at the collective effect before we're dealing with it? As far as I know, none of you live anywhere near these 200 acres of warehousing built to a great degree, if not entirely on speculation. I don't live there either, but I still recognize what we'll lose. And what's the benefit for us? Developers plow down forests and farmlands. We get the promise of $15 an hour jobs if they get a tenant. Or we wind up with more empty buildings built on what was open land, like Ike's Place on Pulaski and Osborne, or that retail shell on Cromer and 58. And how about the giant sinkhole on Osborne and Court Street that was supposed to be a 5-story apartment? What now? In a town that's notorious for saying yes, could you please say yes to putting the brakes on this massive amount of development, knowing it will irreversibly alter the Calverton area, and say yes to getting back to work on the comprehensive plan so we can all agree on the path forward and move ahead with respect to Riverhead and its residents? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle.
You can bring the mic down a little bit.
Hello, my name is Michelle Chasen. I'm a resident of Foxwood. I'm very new to this area. I moved here from the city and Nassau County, worked all my life, couldn't wait to move to the North Fork so I could retire and have a nice, peaceful place to live and clean air. I don't know anything about what all of these people are talking about because I'm new. I have no prejudice against anyone. I just really don't want a warehouse in my backyard. My retirement fund is dwindling away. My house value probably will go down if this thing is built. And it's all very scary. And honestly, I don't know where to go from here. And that's all I really want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Good afternoon.
Can you see this from here?
Yes.
Karen Kemp from Calverton. I'm extremely confused by the actions of the town. Why is there a need to build up all of our land? What is the goal of the town to build so many warehouses? It's not about jobs. We all know that automation has taken over, especially in warehouses. It is imperative to slow down, take a step back, and look at what is happening. What will happen to our landscape? It will be permanently altered in a negative way. Our community will be lost and destroyed by warehouses. It is imperative that the town instate a moratorium on warehouses and industrial developments. We need an updated comprehensive plan. The town is using a comprehensive plan that is nearly 20 years old. According to the New York State Planning Authority, it is recommended that a comprehensive plan be updated every 5 to 10 years. I was curious what a 600,000 square foot building looked like. This is the size of the proposed warehouse from North Point Development called the Riverhead Logistics Center, located on Middle Road and Manor Road. To help me understand, I took a Google map of the area and overlaid it with the publicly available North Point Development's plan at the same scale. The planned warehouse is this red box. I want to make sure you can see it. This here is Costco. The proposed warehouse will be 3 times the size of Costco.
Oh my gosh.
Okay?
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. The average Costco size is 200,000 square feet. So we're looking at 600,000 square feet. The big box stores are dwarfed by the North Point warehouse. North Point is proposing a cube warehouse. A cube warehouse has an extra tall area within its footprint. I just read in a paper this morning about yet 2 new warehouse proposals for EPCAL. One of them is the PVC fence manufacturer. I live about a mile from EPCAL. My neighbors and I hear the hum of the PVC fence factory during the day and in the evening. We have made complaints to the town court enforcer. These complaints are all on record. The town should be helping the neighbors to reduce this noise and not to be allowing it to grow. This is another plan to illustrate how many warehouse proposals are along Middle Country Road. Can you see this? There are 5 proposals along this stretch. It's crazy. It really is. The town should be helping the neighbors, It's not hard to imagine how these developments will cause a negative impact on our environment. A moratorium is a must. It is the right thing to do. Please stop this unbridled development. I implore you to slow down.
Great. Anyone else? Yes.
Good afternoon, Adam Stanek, Hexagon Energy. Councilman Hubbard, I heard your concern about whether or not batteries could actually lower anyone's electric bill in this area. And I heard everyone's concern in the room, so I just want to provide some data points for your reference.
Hold on.
He's
This
gonna
is-
get to speak just like everybody else did,
Yes.
all right?
You don't decide.
Okay, but you're addressing the board.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councilman, absolutely.
Thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate, please be professional.
All I
Mentioned
wanted
it
to say
before.
is, there's a study done by a company called Stratogen in 2020. The name of the study, so you can look it up online, it's Long Island Fossil Fuel Peaker Plant Replacement Study. But the point of the study is, it's saying, if in Long Island, if in areas like this, we could get our energy at peak times, when people come home from work, say 5 to 9 p.m., if we can get our energy from batteries, like the ones we proposed on Mill Road, it can actually lower LIPA customers' electric bills by $431 a year. So it's saying, if we could do that here, potentially, there's the opportunity to lower LIPA customers' electric bills by over $400 a year. So it is significant, there's some data to support it, just wanted to share that. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
The problem I have with that, sir, is Solar came to that podium and told us the same exact thing. And I'll tell you this, my electric bill is more per month than that $400 you were talking about. That's number one. Number two is the fact that I just looked at my PSE&G bill yesterday. My November of last year, I used more kilowatts than I did November of this year, but my November of this year's bill is higher than November of last year. So when somebody comes to that pulpit and they tell me that my electric bill is going to go down, it's not going to happen. We know it. We've been fooled by PSEG too many times, and we know, and all the people that want to come in and develop and do all these wonderful things for us in our backyard never fulfill their promises. So I'm not a believer.
Councilman, just quickly, one of the reasons for that is all of that cheap energy produced by the solar farms is obviously pumped out in the middle of the day when the sun is shining from 10 to 2. Because the demand is not high in Riverhead at that time, all that energy is shipped to the west, to New York City, where the load is high, so residents don't benefit from that solar energy. The battery can capture that energy that's produced in the middle of the day and keep that local to maximize the benefit of existing solar for residents today. The battery can grab that solar energy, buy it at a cheap price, and give it for residents to use when they need it in the evening. That's how the battery helps residents here and maximizes the benefit of the existing solar to keep the energy local.
Understood, but it doesn't guarantee that that energy that those batteries are going to release back into the grid comes to the people of the town of Riverhead. That energy could go anywhere. It could go over to Southampton where they draw more in the summertime because of more populace.
Councilman, it is correct that energy will go wherever physics determines it's drawn upon. However, if that battery is on Mill Road, that's going to go where people call upon that energy that are closest electrically to that battery, meaning residents around Mill Road and around Riverhead who call upon that at peak times will get that energy.
And if Southampton needs it and they call upon it, they'll get that energy.
It goes on the grid for the highest demand at the hour. So
that's what I'm saying. There's no guarantee. It's all just for Riverhead, and it's not going to lower our electric rates. I stand by what I said.
thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
Next.
Good afternoon.
Good
My
afternoon.
name is Jacqueline O'Donnell, and I'm a resident of Foxwood Village on Middle Road in Calverton. And I'd like to thank the town board for listening to the Calverton residents' concerns regarding the influx of potentially life-changing industrial projects being proposed, and we appreciate your consideration of a moratorium. And I especially like to thank Councilman Hubbard for bringing the motion to the board from the planning board, where many Foxwood Village residents stated our concerns to them, and we're grateful to them for recommending it. However, we strongly believe that a 6-month moratorium and/or one that carries exemptions is unacceptable. We need a full moratorium for however long is required for the comprehensive plan to be completed, adopted, and codified. It doesn't make sense to do it any other way. We are hearing that the town board understands that the comprehensive plan is important, and you have adopted and renewed a moratorium on solar farm development to further analyze the impacts of its use. So please understand that study of the other projects, especially logistics centers with potentially devastating quality of life results to the Calverton community, deserve the same treatment. The town's comprehensive plan is expected to take at least 14 months to complete. Even if the Calverton projects are prioritized, how can a 6-month moratorium be effective? It appears that by proposing a 6-month moratorium, especially with exemptions adding, the town board is merely providing lip service to the Calverton residents without true intent to really address our concerns. I urge you to adopt a meaningful moratorium, one that allows for implementation of the comprehensive plan. For how can informed decisions for project approvals be made until all the data and studies needed to develop town code are in? It just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
originally proposed a longer moratorium. I had no support for that within the board, so I compromised. It went down to 6 months, and I found a little bit of support. That's why it went to 6 months with the option to be able to renew it in another 6 months. Otherwise, I was in Long Island by myself, and I don't say that to disparage or to say anything negative about my coworkers up here, but it's just simply my feeling versus their feelings. They're entitled to their feelings as I'm entitled to mine.
How about Alfred?
Correct, absolutely, same thing, that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
And thank you for that, Tim. Good afternoon, Catherine Kent here. I'm a resident of Baiting Hollow, Calverton, and I'm here to speak in support of a moratorium in Calverton. I would like to focus on a few main points: quality of life, the value of a pause, and listening to the residents. Our quality of life should be the driving force as we look to the future development of our town. It's the beautiful open space, waterways, and agriculture that make our area such a desirable place to live. When I grew up here, Calverton was predominantly a farm area with vast vistas of beautiful farmland surrounding us. Riley Avenue School was built in the middle of farm fields. It's now surrounded by developments. The open space in Calverton and easy access to the Long Island Expressway is likely why the town originally zoned so much of it industrial. But the number of major projects coming into the hamlet of Calverton is alarming. It is imperative that we pause, and not just for 6 months. We must give BFJ time to study the visual impacts, traffic, infrastructure, schools, and so much more for all of this industrial development in just one hamlet. If we stay on the current track, instead of farms and open space, we will be looking at warehouses, solar farms, battery storage, anaerobic digesters, and more. We're actually on that track already. And why not do more to help our farming community so that we can retain our agricultural heritage? The pandemic changed how we look at life and what is most important to us. With Zoom and technology, young families are choosing beautiful locations to raise a family and then doing their job searching rather than the reverse. Studies show that a good quality of life boosts the economy. It makes sense that when residents of an area have a high quality of life, they are happier and more productive at work, thus promoting economic progress. It is critical to the future of Calverton and the entire town that we put a moratorium in place. Let's give BFJ the time to properly study our hamlet and make recommendations. If we don't get this right, it cannot be reversed and will severely impact the future of our children and their children. We're asking you to listen to what the residents are saying loud and clear. No more letting the developers drive the deals in Riverhead. They don't live here, we do. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Danielle Kilfoyle, Calverton. Developers have honed in on our zoning and planning failures and are acting accordingly. The planning board called out that based on sanitary flow alone, Riverhead's dimensional regulations for allowable lot coverage should be around 17%, not the current 40% lot coverage that's allowed. A blanket moratorium on industrial development in Calverton is the only solution. There are serious flaws in the argument that a moratorium on industrial development will hurt our tax base. By looking at just potential tax income and failing to consider the costs of such industrial development, you're essentially entering a Ponzi scheme of tax collection, opening your arms to new development to pay for the adverse effects previous development has on our town. Until the town pauses and explores ways to make us more operationally efficient, we'll be stuck in a continuous loop. Failing to look at the cost-benefit analysis of large-scale development and looking only at potential tax income has brought us to where we are today. As Councilman Hubbard mentioned in a previous work session, if this model was economically sustainable, we'd be set after the development of 58, but instead we've pierced the tax cap. Our town's infrastructure, our police department, our highway department, you name it, will all incur costs from this type of development forever. Mitigation by the applicants at the time of construction will not offset the future costs. How does that add up when the same applicants causing these adverse effects get tax benefits? Have you considered what happens to a local economy when some businesses are given tax benefits and others aren't? It creates an environment where businesses are competing for labor on an uneven playing field, and right now we're in an unprecedented labor shortage, unlike we've seen in the last 40 years. That could be very damaging to our local businesses. North Point's distribution center, as proposed, square footage-wise, is not that much smaller than Tanger Outlets, but look at the infrastructure that surrounds Tanger. Look at how 58 has been worked to accommodate that development. But instead, North Point proposes a similarly sized development on a property that borders APZ and requires the use of residential roads for access in and out of their facility. Tanger traffic is mainly passenger cars. North Point will have hundreds, if not thousands, of tractor-trailer trips per day in and out of their facility on residential roads. These are vehicles that have to cross 2 lanes in order to make turns because they're too big for our roads. There is a bus stop right near their proposed entrance. Children wait on the side of the road for the bus there, and we're gonna have 18-wheelers crossing 2 lanes to make turns. How do you reconcile that? There's been much discussion about benign uses, which I'll highlight is an opinion, not a legal term. Traffic isn't the only impact these businesses have on our town. A battery storage facility is benign until it has thermal runaway and explodes 50 feet from where people live. Is it good judgment to put our residents and volunteer fire department in this position and also risk further contamination of our water from the firefighting foams that will be required? The PODS property is benign until multiple 18-wheelers carrying PODS storage units try to pull in and out of their facility and block 2 lanes of traffic on 25, right near a school and local businesses. This happened just last week when I was trying to leave the deli. I ask that you please follow the lead of the planning department and listen to the town attorney when making a decision on a moratorium for industrial development. You're in a position to either support a handful of developers or your town's residents, and I'm hoping you have the dignity to support the residents. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Do we have anyone online? Bring somebody up. Okay.
Hi, Kathy McGraw again from Northville. I just want to thank everybody for who's spoken here today. I totally agree that a moratorium is necessary, and the comments I'm going to make have nothing to do with not supporting a moratorium. But I think it is offensive in the extreme that you are scheduling something as important as a public hearing on a zoning code amendment on battery storage systems on December 20th. What is the rush? What is the rush? If you all remember, this town rushed into a public hearing on a qualified and eligible hearing for EPCAL in 2017 in December. It's not a good idea to rush things and do them during the holiday season. And I'm sorry, Supervisor Aguiar, you say it's just a public hearing and you want to hear from the public. Well, the public is here and you're not listening. What makes us think that at a public hearing, you're going to listen and pay attention to what we have to say? You are scheduling this public hearing because it is a procedural hurdle that must be passed before you folks can sit up there and change the zoning code prior to completion of the comp plan update. And it is offensive in the extreme. Thank you.
there's no rush here. Code committee met, and it's taking its natural process, and we don't stop working because it's a holiday. If it's a work day, we complete our work as best as we can. Regarding your public hearing and the public's here, a certain section here, actually, everybody that's here just about is against. We don't have the other individuals that may support it. This is a small part of the population, and with public hearing, we notice it. We have it open on Zoom, and we'll have a lot larger population. It's not just a group of individuals all supporting. Okay, so I disagree with some of your comments, but it's fine. You're entitled to them. And Toki, you're next.
Takwi Turchin,
Takwi.
Greater Calverton Civic Association President. I was angry before. I sat down, calmed myself. I'm still shaking. You know why? Because for 5 meetings, Calverton residents, Baden Hollow, have been here. We care. Calverton cares. Absolutely. And for you to say to us that you want to hear from the public that may want this moratorium, not one resident has spoken in favor of it. Please let that resound in your ears when you go to sleep tonight and rest your head on your pillow. I have a letter here from a resident in Calverton, from Dennis Murray. As elected officials that are assumed to be looking out for the residents of this community, it feels as though the board is doing just the opposite. Where is the concern that we are ruining our rural lifestyle with no regard for future generations? Turning a blind eye is not why you were elected. Please consider how the lack of decision-making will affect us, allowing all of the new construction and developing to continually, especially, I think he meant to continue, especially in the Calverton hamlet, is very destructive to the future of our residents. These projects will forever change the face of this residential and agricultural community that have coexisted for years. In fact, this is what makes living here attractive. Listen, I'm all about developing and improving the community, but I don't see how any of this would help. Lack of your response on the board's part will harm us all. Party politics need to be put aside, and some common sense and action needs to be enacted now. Throughout my career, I always put forth that a team can overcome any obstacle when it works together. Working separately, and nothing happens. Where's the team spirit on this board?
Thank you for your comment.
Mike Foley, Reeves Park. A couple of work sessions ago, I was able to get the feel for the difference of opinion on the merits and demerits of a moratorium. All of you had things to say, and I'm going to address all of you individually. Tim, thanks for putting the 12-month moratorium.
Would you please address the board? It seems
I'm
like when you
talking
come
to Tim
out,
now.
I'm talking to you.
And what are you saying?
Just listen to me
Mike,
out. Instead
Mike,
of,
just
lower your
bring it
voice.
down.
Do you have that ability?
Yeah, I do. I have a hearing
thank you.
disability.
Okay,
So
so-
this is my tone.
Okay, so.
So why don't I put this here so maybe everybody can hear me?
Lower your tone, and also, this is a comment section. You address the board. You don't
I'm
try to
addressing
turn
each
and
one
back
of you,
yourself.
whether you like it or not.
Well,
It's a public comment.
Yeah,
Let me resume my remarks and take the floor back.
normally,
Tim,
hold
I
on,
wanna thank you.
I have one more comment to make and be respectful, okay?
Take it off
Mr.
my
O'Farrell?
time.
Okay, we'll give you more time if you need it. Normally you address the board, and you make a comment. What you like to do is try to make accusations and go back and forth. It should not be like this.
Well, you know something, that's called discussion event. That's exactly what it
Well,
should
this is not a discussion, this
It's
is a public
called discussion.
comment.
That's what it should
Okay.
exactly
I'm
be.
not gonna go back and forth with
Yeah, let me
you.
get back to my comments. Put my time back on, please. Tim, I want to start with you because there were 5 of you that had something to say. I want to thank you for making your moratorium suggestion as closely aligned to the planning board that passed as possible. I think it is something that everybody here supports. But I understand you need 3 votes to get a moratorium. And I thank you for putting it out there. Frank, I want to thank you for supporting a moratorium, even if it was for less of a period of time. One of the things that people have to understand is that if we wanted to say a moratorium until the comprehensive plan is completed, would not be allowed under state law. A moratorium has to be specific in time. So the 6-month time frame is a specific amount of time, and that's fine. The only problem I have is if I want you to consider, real quick, Eric, I know that the contract with BJF is up for signature. Where are we on that?
It's, I believe, in a final draft. Hopefully, it's been circulated to the town board.
Okay. I know it hit your table about 6 weeks ago, which kind of underscores what I'm saying here, Frank. You guys agreed.
I haven't had it for 6 weeks.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. And I'm not putting it on you at all, Eric. Actually, I think you've been doing a great job since you were appointed.
Thank you.
On all things, including things that I disagree with you. Frank, I think you need to understand the time frame here. That BJF kind of said this is going to take 14 months. We don't have a signed contract yet. I would ask you to consider a 9-month moratorium for one reason. If we do a 6-month moratorium and we do it initially, and it takes 14 months to complete, understanding that we want to put Calverton's industrial development as a priority, and assuming they will, we still have a chance of needing 2 extensions if there's 6 months. If they're 9 months, we might not even need 1 extension. If BJF comes in and they hit it and they get the feedback from the audience and the subject matter experts, maybe they can put the zoning and code differences on industrial development that will keep the rural character of Calverton. So I'll just ask you to consider that. Bob, again, I didn't know you until I heard you at the Meet the Candidates forum in Jamesport. I respect the fact that at that forum, you stated you were the president of the Chamber of Commerce, you believe in saying yes to development, and you have certainly lived up to that reputation. I don't fault you for that, but I want you to think about the fact that you talk about a benign exception, but benign exceptions to a moratorium, the word benign, is a matter of perception. You need to put and take off your Chamber of Commerce hat and abandon your benign exception, because a benign exception to you could be litigation against this town in the future. Because they might say, well, I should have a benign use as well. So if you eliminate any possibility of exception, you will do what the state tells us to do, you'll do what the town attorney has told us to do, and what precedent has done, which is there is no project in Calverton that is vested. No matter what Yvette says, no matter what Yvette says she's talking to subject matter experts, there is no definition of a vested project presently in Calverton. Ken, you support development. So do I. One that puts things where they belong and keeps or enhances our rural character. A moratorium is a restrictive step that shouldn't be taken lightly, but it's needed in light of our town's circumstances because the comp plan is just about underway. And this is a concept of moratorium as published in New York State rules. Very quick, why adopt it? To prevent the rush of development. Check. Prevent inefficient and ill-conceived growth. Check. Address a new kind of use. Wind farms, anaerobic digesters, storage for electricity, big box in comprehensive plans and land use laws is what we should be putting this on. Preventing hasty decisions that would disadvantage landowners and the public. Check. Preventing immediate construction that might be inconsistent with the provisions of a future plan. Ken, This moratorium is textbook required by state law, by just using logic. You're a logical guy. It's got nothing to do with the people in Calverton right now. It's got to do with logic for the entire footprint of Riverhead. And I'm going to ask you to strongly consider that over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And hopefully you'll come up with the right decision. And then finally, the biggest threat to litigation in this town is you. Because you're the one that will be giving the people that have not been given your arbitrary and capricious exceptions by allowing HK Ventures to develop here when they have the same non-vesting status as every other one. If you proceed with this foolhardy stuff, we're going to get sued. There's no question about it, and it'll be your fault. I'm going to end with this. I didn't know anything about HK Ventures contributions. I've never accused anybody on this board of being corrupt. But I can tell you this. If there was an HK Venture contribution to anybody on that board, and they are accepted from this, a contribution can be considered a bribe. And I don't see anybody up there. You all do your thing to help this town. I don't want to see anybody get damaged up here, including you of them. Don't put yourself in a position to be charged with accepting a bribe because you gave an exception to HK Ventures. Thank you.
That's very interesting for you to come up here and make all these allegations and claims, and, you know, that's not very respectful. I was elected by the people with great amounts, for the great amount, yes, and I did, and a great amount of people elected me, and I'm not gonna change. So I agree that there could be some saturation, and we are talking about it, and we're looking at every angle. But to come up here before you even have a public hearing and calling me names and saying I'm corrupt and that I don't support, I don't know where I stand. So, yes, he did. Taking a bribe is considered corrupt. It's okay. Your 5 minutes are up. I'm not going back and forth. You made your statement. I made my statement. And again, don't speak for myself. Let me speak. I'm representative of the people that elected me, and I will do everything that I can in my ability as ethically and as honest. And I know it's that silly season. So stop it. You can grab your opinions, and you should be more responsive to understanding the different effects of taking such a project like this and looking at it, researching it, and making a good collective decision. The decision hasn't been made, so please don't accuse me of going in one direction. Thank you. Next. I'm going to say next.
Point of order.
No, I'm going to say next.
Good, say yes.
No,
I didn't accuse you of
no,
bribe. I didn't
no,
accuse
I'm
you
going
of
to say
anything of
next.
that.
I'm going to say
Good.
next. It doesn't
Point of
have best
order.
interest.
I did not accuse you of being corrupt. I did
always
not
make
accuse you of being corrupt.
accusations,
Point of order.
And
Something you
it's
should
not
look up.
professional.
All right, guys, can we
Let's
move
go.
on to
We
the
are
next
going to move
speaker,
on.
please?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Let's move on
Let's
to the
move.
next speaker.
That's exactly, and let me run the meeting. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Thank you. Yes, how you doing?
Okay, my name is Susan Cacciola.
How you doing?
I live in Foxwood Village.
Okay.
I'm living there now 5 years. I moved out here because of the beauty of it all. Where I came from, we were in the midst of fighting Tritech. They wanted to come in and build these 4-story apartments, and we were not happy. This was going to change Lindenhurst. All I'm telling to you is you're sitting there in the house saying how you are for the people. Then listen to the people. We're going to hear trucks running all night long, and don't tell me we're not going to. I've been there. I've done this before. The roads here cannot accommodate these tractor trailers. Why? Do you want to do this to us? The house I bought, I'll be honest with you, my back fence is Costco. But I bought knowing that. I didn't buy into Foxwood knowing that I was going to have these big warehouses. And there is a fire hazard. I don't care. You have a volunteer fire department. You can ride around to every town. My husband was a volunteer fire department. All the signs say, we need volunteers. If there's a fire in a warehouse, my house will be a done deal. Think about what you're doing. I know you want to advance Riverhead, Calverton, but this is not the way to do it. Of course, the big corporate guy is going to get up and tell us all the great features it's going to have. It's not going to work. Just listen to the people. They want a moratorium. Give it to them. Investigate. You have roads here that cannot handle this. Please listen to the people that voted you in. I'm not going to sit here and accuse any of you of taking bribes or whatever. But these are the people that voted you in. And they don't want it. So how could you sit there and just look at us like you don't really care what we're saying? Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for your comment. Do we have somebody up?
Phil Barbado, you're on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello? Wow.
I could.
Yes, I don't think I can add anything to the wonderful statements and comments that have been made by our fellow citizens. I just ask the board to take a look in the mirror, take a moment to think about it, and realize that we are at a critical point in the history of our town. We have some really important decisions to make that will last a long, long time into the future. And we cannot just sit in our chairs and talk about it and think about it. We need to act now. Now is the moment. And I encourage you to take care of that moratorium, to get rid of the EPCAL deal that was started a long time ago, and to consider, to get this comp plan completed and done and encoded into our town code. It's time to act. It's not time to go back and forth about who's saying what to who. Please, this is a critical moment in the life of our town, and I think you're ready, I hope you are, to do it the right way. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon again.
Yes, good afternoon, Barbara Blas, Jamesport. In July of 2021, I addressed the board and asked, I'm sure some of you will remember this, I'd asked about the status of the community benefits agreement with S-Power 2. And I said at the time it seemed as though the town had not only dropped the ball, they failed to show up for the game. And I was specifically discussing the community benefits agreement and the lack of public discussion and the status of it. I was told at that meeting that it was going to be on the agenda for the following work session, and then I believe a deputy town attorney had said a draft had been circulated to you the day before. That was a year and a half ago. Is there something with the application itself? What is the reason that we have failed to negotiate with S-Power 2 for a community benefits agreement? And as if I believe I actually heard reference to the utilization of some of that money in some of the proposed capital projects that you've been talking about. I would like to know the status of that agreement.
Okay, so the town attorney, Anne Marie Prudenti, was preparing some type of draft, and I think the one draft wasn't accepted, and they had to go back to negotiation, and so that's at the town attorney's office.
I'm not gonna get into the details of it, but Deputy Town Attorney Prudenti has been working on it diligently. And what I'll say is the delay in it hasn't been on her part. But that being said, the last time I spoke with her about it, she did believe that we were relatively close to finalizing it with them.
I did attend, I shouldn't say attend, I was on phone meetings with their attorney as well, and that there is
Very
progress.
recently.
Yes, very recently, so there's progress. The delay has not been on our part, so we've been anxious to finalize the deal with them, and I think we're close to the finish line now.
So in terms of accountability, I just want to say that there was a promise, perhaps, or a representation that there was going to be a public discussion of what had transpired to date at that following work session, which again, I repeat, was July of 2021, and nothing to that effect has taken place. So I just wondered why I was then sliced and diced when I made that statement. Yes, yes, indeed, the following work session, but we'll let that go.
Barbara, you shouldn't wait a year and a half to express your concerns. You can always email us, and then we would have told you
Supervisor,
that.
I have emailed, I have called,
I
come
always
to
return
the,
your emails.
I come to the podium and I get the pat on the head. Thank you for your comment. I would like answers just like anybody else in this room is entitled to an answer. And when you suggest to me that it was going to be discussed the following week at a work session and it doesn't, and I wait, and then I actually see resolutions that reference the utilization of money that hasn't even been finalized yet, that worries me. Okay, so that's out there.
That's the other contract, right? The solar, nothing is being utilized. We haven't received the funds.
Okay, so the agreement hasn't been finalized yet.
I
I'm not
know.
gonna get into the details of
I
it.
know.
There's been a couple different, to explain a little bit, a couple different structures proposed and reviewed between S-Power and ourselves, and getting to exactly how the end result's gonna work has taken a little bit of time, and as Councilman Rothwell indicated, it hasn't necessarily been on our part. So, you know, I can't speak to why it wasn't subsequently discussed, but from my perspective, I wouldn't want the town board discussing the details of it prior to, to us and S-Power being comfortable with the final product until we actually get to that.
It would have been helpful to engage the community. It is a community benefit agreement. And as far as I'm concerned, the community was never really involved until you get to the public hearing that this is the allocation of the money. Be that as it may, I'm glad that progress is being made. The other S-Power 1 that you're talking about and NextEra, yes, those funds have been allocated. I know what's left in them, but there has been recent representation about possibly using future community benefits from S-Power 2, and I will go back and reference exactly where I heard that. I have a couple of more comments. I would like the opportunity to say them if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you. In February of 2022, just a couple of months ago, I think it was during the last public discussion of the comp plan with the prior consultants, AKRF. Supervisor, you mentioned that there were 3 things that were priority items for you to be considered in the comp plan. One was the TDR program, one was the inclusion of the 1,000 acres at EPCAL. You had made that representation. And the third was the incorporation of the pattern book. So the pattern book, we know, went to hearing, got adopted, never implemented. The TDR program, interestingly enough, you know that to expand the program, you needed a GEIS, and that was what halted the expansion most recently. But I bring to your attention that in reviewing the TOD code, you actually expanded the receiving districts in the code to accept development rights and provide for extra...
The town board did, not me specifically. We worked
The
together.
collective, okay.
Resolutions. I know it's a silly season, supervisor, but they
Supervisor,
addressed
I'm
the
not
town
part of
board.
the silly
Okay.
season.
Okay.
I'm not
Well,
running
you're
for
here.
office. I am here as a concerned citizen, and I have questions. Please don't always try to characterize my comments as being political, because I'm not. If I was, you would know it. You would know it.
Okay, well,
Okay? So,
Address
what
the
I'm
board.
talking about
Thank
is
you.
the fact that the TOD, and Eric, you may want to take a look at this, actually includes a receiving district in the downtown for increased development coming from agricultural properties. That is a receiving area that was never incorporated, never, the TDR program was expanded without the benefit of a GEIS, and I think it could be challenged. And the third thing was the EPCAL, the 1,000 acres that you said you wanted included. I'm not sure how that would get incorporated into the natural resource chapter, but let's assume that it did. At this point, the DEC has never accepted a comprehensive habitat protection plan for those 1,000 acres. They've not accepted anything. And it's now not even your responsibility to make sure that happens. It's in the hands of CAT. So there are a couple of things that have been expressed as being priority items in a comprehensive plan. I don't see any of those things moving forward, even if we had a comprehensive plan update in place right now. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Thank you.
Chip, do we have anyone? Anyone else want to come forward? No, that's it? Everybody's looking around at each other, okay? Thank you, everyone. This concludes our town board meeting. Can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting, please?
So moved.
Thank you. All opposed? All in favor? So moved.